All right. Well, welcome everyone to Operation Sentinel. These are live sessions built to help veterans understand AI. This is our fourth webinar, and we'll be covering Google Gemini. This is recorded. We post them on the Cloud Veterans website under the events link. So you'll see that in a few days. And you also, if you visit that page, you'll see the previous webinars we've done, and you can watch those as well. I'm Gregory Henson, founder of Cloud Veterans. We're a volunteer-led nonprofit. We have zero paid staff, zero office space. Every donation goes directly back to veterans. And 100%, and we helped over 1,000 veterans so far since we got started transition into cloud careers. So we also offer more for those of you that are new. We offer more than just on-demand training through our Pluralsight platform. We do these live sessions as well every week or every other week. We cover the exam costs for veterans so that there's no cost for them to take the exam. And we also provide job resume and placement assistance for free. In fact, we have a free job finder tool on cloudveterans.org. If you go there, you go to find jobs, you upload your resume or enter in your military experience, and we'll find you jobs specific to your expertise and military experience within companies that are actively looking to hire veterans. So and for us, that's the most important thing, is not just getting the veterans the training, but actually getting them either the position or the promotion that they want at the end of all this. So today's mission is Google Gemini, as I mentioned. You guys have probably all played around with a few AI tools, I would expect. I would say Gemini is one of those underrated toolkits that you already have because it lives inside your Google account, which most, probably 99% of you already use Google in some way or another. And so you have Gemini today on the free version, which is decently powerful. You have access to a lot of good stuff. But then if you ever run into limits or you need something a little more than free, the first upgrade bucket really is the pro version. Moving to that is $20 a month. And of course, they have higher plans and company plans and things like that. But for $20 a month, it's a pretty powerful tool. We'll dive into that. So the format today is really just 30 minutes of conversation and live demos. Depending on how much time that takes, we may do some build session where you guys run off for a little bit, try out Gemini yourself. If you're on your phones, there's a Gemini app you can download and install. If you're on your computer, it's just gemini.google.com. The nice thing I'll also mention is whatever you type into the web browser in Gemini, the mobile app will show you everything there as well. So let's say you start some research or you're doing something on your desktop, then you got to run, to the grocery store or to the mall, or maybe you want to go walk a few miles. While you're doing that, you can continue where you left off inside the mobile app and continue to be productive even while you're doing something else. I am demoing today from a paid account. I have the pro plan. It's $20 a month. So if you try to do some of the things that I've done and you run into a paywall, you may need to upgrade, but most of this stuff is available in free. It's just how many times you can do it in free that's sort of limited. Great. So first off, you can see here, I have gemini.google.com open. This is the main interface. It's browser-based. You have Claude, you have Codex, you have Perplexity, and most of the AIs have a desktop app. Google Gemini does not. It's all browser-based, sticking with, Google's true philosophy of no software running on the computer. Everything is browser-based, which isn't bad. And the nice thing is they bake in all of the features of Gemini into this one interface. I'll walk you through the interface here. Obviously, this is the logo. I can expand the sidebar here just so it's always open. These are where I create new chats. This is my chat history here, and search chats. These are videos that you can create inside of Gemini. Library is all the images and videos that I've created already inside of Gemini. And then you have gems, which we'll dive into, but gems is really twofold. One is you can create your own little apps with gems, but you can also create repeating tasks in gems, little agents, if you will. We'll dive more to that towards the end. Let's start off first with a new chat. So what I'm going to do here is, oh, one other thing I'll just mention, you also have in Gemini, this Ask Gemini button here in the top right. So as you're browsing the internet, it's sort of like an additional, it's looking at what you're looking at right now and helps you with this page or anything on this page. So when I brought up Ask Gemini on the Cloud Veterans website, it already said, how can we help you today? Compare cloud careers for veterans, list cloud certificates offered, explain veteran. You don't have to read someone's website anymore. You can just come here, open Ask Gemini and prompt it. Hey, what's the pricing? What's the catch? What's this? What's that? It's great for looking at websites initially. Perhaps you're looking for a car or a house to buy. You can just pull up that site and have it do all the searching for you. Same thing, I use it on Amazon, for example. I'll say, go through the Amazon listings for electronic door locks, find the top rated ones under 200 bucks, and show me the top list. And it will go and do that for me. I don't have to sit there and search myself and filter and all of that stuff. All right, before we dive in, let's pause for a second. Any questions? Any comments? We're good. Greg, can you watch the comment section and tell me if there's anything that pops in there?
Yep, no problem.
All right, let's dive in. 1 second. So here's the chat interface. You'll see this when you first come into Gemini. It's just like ChatGPT or Perplexity. You basically just type in your question. If you're on a paid plan, you'll see the Pro version here. But these are the three models, Pro being math and code, thinking for complex problems, and all around help 3.5. In this case, this is where Gemini differs a little bit from the others, because the others you can like select basically your model that you want to use for what you're doing, but it also has so you can choose the model and the task type. And the task type, not many people really realize this that are new to Gemini, but under the plus sign here, you'll see more options in addition to the model. So here I can create an image. By the way, that's Nano Banana built right in. Doesn't say Nano Banana, but we'll show you. It is Nano Banana. Same thing with the video here. They have this new Create Music. They have Canvas. They have Deep Research, and they have Guided Learning. So if you're trying to understand a complex subject, maybe black holes, for example, or help your kids understand a complex project, so you could use the deep learning part. Deep research, we're going to dive into right now. I'm going to click on deep research here. And to make this very relevant, I already have a prompt ready to go here. I'm going to paste it in. But this prompt basically says, find me, act as an executive recruiter. And I didn't write this prompt, by the way. I just asked Gemini to give me the prompt, and this is what I want to do. It gave me this, and then I pasted this as my prompt. So it's deep research. The prompt is find me 5 open cloud engineer positions at publicly traded companies in Miami, prioritize organization, recognized as military friendly. For each listing, provide job title, application link, exact and mandatory cloud certifications in AWS, Azure, or Google. Conclude by summarizing each company's veteran transition programs or partnerships with groups like Vets in Tech. All right, so I'm going to run this now. Hit the little up arrow to submit it. And this is going to go off and do its research. Actually, before it even does that, the nice thing about it is it generates a plan of action and an attack plan. It's going to show it to me first to see if I want to make any edits. And if it looks good to me, which I'll say, yeah, I can edit the plan here. But in this case, I'll just say that this looks good. I can expand it a little bit more. These are all exactly what I wanted to do, step 1 through 6, and I'll say start research. All right, so while that's running, we're going to run over to NotebookLM. As I mentioned, we've done NotebookLM in the past. I want to show you guys sort of how it works with Gemini in this particular instance. So in this case, in NotebookLM, let's say I'm studying for an exam. I can say for sources, there's 3 steps in NotebookLM. First is to add your sources. So you tell it what kind of sources you want. I'm going to say act as an expert technical trainer specializing in Microsoft Azure. And I'm going to say find all relevant AZ900 fundamentals exam training and prep guides. And I'll hit go. And it shouldn't take more than 30 seconds here, but this is going to scour the internet, find legitimate real sources. It also searches YouTube, which is great because it's all owned by Google. So it not only searches YouTube, but it gets the transcripts. It has back-end transcripts. You can't download a transcript of a YouTube video unless the author posts it. But YouTube doesn't give you that on the back end. But with this, using NotebookLM, it does have the transcripts for all of those. So it turns it into a nice way to search YouTube videos. So you can see it finished. It's got 7 sources here. These are all the sources. There's a YouTube, there's a study guide on Microsoft.com, and there's a few other places, and I will say import. All right, so they're all imported. I'm going to paste another prompt that basically just says, analyze these sources, put together for me cloud concepts, Azure architecture, data management and governance in Azure, and then break it out by core concepts, filter the noise, generate verification questions, flag resource gaps. And again, you don't have to create these prompts. You could write them in layman language if you want, but it's better just to ask Gemini ahead of time, hey, give me a prompt for NotebookLM that does X, Y, and Z, or I've built the sources around this. I'm trying to do that. Give me the best prompt that I can put into the chat section of NotebookLM to help me accomplish what I'm looking to do. And back comes the summary of basically everything I asked it to, along with some sample questions. And then the beauty about NotebookLM is, since this is for the AZ900, what I can do here is under flashcards. I can generate these flashcards to help me prepare for the exam. And I can also have it build quizzes for me to quiz it after I've done all the research and everything that I wanted to do. I can come in here and run through these quizzes and flashcards to make sure that I understand the core concepts. And if you're not new to NotebookLM, you also know there's a video overview. It'll create a 2 to 5 minute, really very fancy video overview of what exactly, in this case, AZ900 is, the certification, what it covers. Gives you a very nice visual overview if you prefer the visual piece. And then the audio overview is where you can have it's basically a podcast. It generates a podcast based on your sources. They're always very interesting with lighthearted comments, often jokes. And you can interrupt the podcasters as they're talking to add your own input or ask them questions or push back on any concept that they've mentioned, and they'll interact with you, which is pretty cool. All right, you can see here the quizzes are done. If I click on the quizzes, I can run through these quizzes. I can get a hint if I want. If I go back out to flashcards, these are the flashcards here. Go to next to see the answer. So it's a really great way to help you study for upcoming certification that you might have. So you can basically stop watching YouTube videos because NotebookLM will absorb those transcripts and test you on the material in them. So it can save you a lot of time from that perspective.
Do that transcript thing just straight through Gemini, though?
I don't think, yes, you can see here. So when I clicked on the YouTube video, it gave me the transcript of the whole video down here. You can see here on the bottom left.
Got it.
All right. Let's head back over to Gemini. Let's look at our deep research here for the Miami open position. You can see here, it's still running, so we'll have to come back. But it's already started. It's got, basically it's done a few of the steps here, but it's still going, and we will come back later. That should be done. Next, Let's jump over to new chat. Let's try out some Nano Banana. We're going to create an image. You have sort of these default styles. If you're looking to create an image in a particular style, like anime or Technicolor, dynamic, mythic fighter, self-portrait, all kinds of different ones here. They're just ideas. They have hundreds more. You just got to tell it exactly what you want. In this case, I am going to ask it to create an image of a cloud engineer, desktop setup, a veteran challenge coin on the desk, and warm lighting, no mug. I hit enter, and it's creating the image for us using Nano Banana. Just takes a few seconds here, and we'll have a very realistic, ready to go image I could use in a LinkedIn article. I could post it on my social medias. And here you have exactly what the prompt was. Now here's where Nano Banana gets really cool is I can prompt this change here, this edit. I can prompt edits, but when you do that, it keeps the exact same picture. And it's just going to add or change what you're asking it to do. It's not going to regenerate a whole thing all over again. And I'll put that here. I'll put in the edit here. I'm going to say same image, but change the monitors to show an AWS console and add an AWS coffee mug with a military veteran at the desk. So same format. We add that. It's creating the image here. It's factoring. It's taking the exact image and then just adding in my my comments. Another 10 seconds. And there we go. We have the image here. It's got the AWS console. Remember, I said change it so it's this is not the AWS console. So change the screen images to the AWS console, which you can see here is listed. It's got the coin I mentioned. It added the AWS mug that was not here before that I asked it to put in here. So you can very easily just prompt your image changes here. He's got his US Army shirt on, so most likely a veteran. So the Nano Banana is very powerful. It's probably one of the best image generators out there. It can basically do anything that you want here. I'm going to give you another example of, for example, your LinkedIn banner. Oftentimes you want to have the best LinkedIn banner. That's the header basically of your LinkedIn profile. I'm going to say design me a clean LinkedIn banner, dark blue with gold text, cloud engineer, AWS certified, US Army veteran in a modern style. I hit enter and I don't have to go to Canva anymore and choose the template I want and mess with the pixels and drag and drop colors and all this stuff, or even choose a Canva template because they do have templates for LinkedIn banners and wrestle with that. I can just tell it kind of what I'm looking for. I could even, if I see 2 or 3 other banners that I like on LinkedIn and I save them off, I can feed it that with this prompt and say, make it similar to this one, or these are other LinkedIn banners that I like. So keep it sort of similar. And here we have our LinkedIn banner ready to go for LinkedIn. And I'm going to prompt this again to make a quick change. I'm just going to say here, add the AWS and Army logo to the image. And again, it's taking the original image, modifying it based on what I told it to do. I don't have to edit, drag or drop or do anything. Well, that's getting loaded here. I'll mention one thing here. You can see there's the AWS logo. There's it's not really it's more the president of the United States. But it's, it added the logos that I had asked. You'll notice in the bottom right corner, there's a little diamond here. And what that means is if you save this, it's basically a watermark telling the internet you used AI to create this. So it's not a bad thing, but in fact, it shows that you use AI. But you don't want to do this image generation for like headshots on LinkedIn, for example, or family photos or things like that. But you'll see this little star here. If I were to save this down to my computer and post it anywhere on the internet, it would show that this was an AI generated image. That's called Synth ID that Google and others are now building into their images so people know that this was AI generated. to hopefully reduce fakes, or at least people tell them that. All right, let's jump back over and take a look at our previous tasks. We open the sidebar here, recents. Act as an executive. This is your recents, by the way, is the history of all of your chats that you've done here. Let's jump back into the act as an executive recruiter, and it did the deep research. It came back with all of the job opportunities in South Florida for specific members, veterans. It came back with titles, base comp, publicly traded organization. And these are the companies here with the application links. So ADP is hiring, Capital One is hiring, and these are folks that focus on veteran hires. Accenture's hiring. It's got the job link here. Citigroup is hiring. So when you're trying to find a role, and I could have very easily said 100% remote. I could have said hybrid. I didn't have to scope it to Miami. I was just assuming it was on-prem. Or oftentimes today, jobs are mostly hybrid, not fully remote. So you're going to want something within a reasonable commuting distance to where you live. And that's the deep research piece. Great. All right. Next up, I'm going to cover one more here inside the chat, and that is video. This is a nano banana video. We can take these videos, we can describe what we want exactly like we did with the image. You can choose a style and then give it the prompt. Again, don't ever write your own prompts. Just ask Gemini to write it for you ahead of time, or any AI provider. In this case, I'm going to make this simple. I'm going to say moon. See yourself on the moon. Very cool. I'm going to add an actual photo of me so it knows what I look like. I noticed that Gemini tends to make people look older for some reason. I always choose younger pictures of myself because it's going to probably put me around the same age now. All right, so we got this here. I got the moon. See yourself on the moon. I can put me on the moon, and let's go. This surprisingly takes just about as long as generating an image, which blows my mind because you'd think video generation would be much more complex and take, I would guess, 5 times as long as generating the image. But it does say it can take a few minutes, but I found maybe it's just based on backend load. I found that this happens pretty quickly, usually just as fast or a little bit faster than creating your images. We will come back. We'll let this run for a minute and just keep going here.
I have a quick question, Dad.
Yeah.
So I'm most familiar with Claude, and the most simple language model they have would be Haiku, and then Sonnet, and then Opus, more advanced, and now Fable, which is the most advanced. How would you compare the different models in here? And what do you think, like, how do you differentiate between which one to use in here?
Right. Good question. And they all have different, GPT, Claude, they're all different. Pro, I feel, is the highest model within Gemini. Thinking is more like Sonnet, and Flash is more like Haiku in Claude. So it's the bottom one is typically the most advanced and going up and up from there. And if you're on a free account, this really matters because I would use Flash for everything because it uses less consumption. But if it gives you a response that you want better, then try thinking. And if that's not good enough, then try Pro. Or if you know out of the gate, like, hey, I'm coming up with a strategic operational plan or a competitor analysis, something complex that you know off the hand, like you want the best thinking in this model to do, I would use Pro right out of the gate. Oftentimes, what I'll do is I will take the same exact prompt and I'll put it in the highest model in 2, 3, or 4, depending how important it is. 4 different models that I have paid subscriptions for, and I'll dump the same prompt into all 4, and then I'll save off the answers, and I'll bring them back into Claude, and I'll say, these are the 4 answers I got from the 4 AIs, including yourself. Don't be biased. I want you to review all 4 and tell me which one was the best, or if I should integrate certain things from different other ones and sort of have an arbitrage and figure out which, to come up with the best strategy for you. That way, you don't have to sit there and read all four plans and figure out what parts you like, what parts you don't.
Yeah, that's smart.
Here's the video. I asked it to put me on the moon. Let's take a look. 10 seconds. And there we go. Pretty cool. You can say, how long you want it, give it, storyboard it, tell it all the different steps and screens that you want. Obviously, it would add a lot more. But no more, no more having to hire someone to create videos for you. You have it all here in Gemini. And they're decent. They're pretty good. Look, it even thought of the footsteps here. And then you can see the lighting from what's obviously the sun, the little sunspots in the lens that match the shadow of the astronaut. So even the shadows on the rocks are also showing you that the sun's on the left side. So it's pretty photorealistic. All right, lastly, we're going to look at gems. I mentioned gems in the beginning. There's sort of two areas inside of gems. One is mini apps that you can build, and the second is mini AI agents. Okay, so when you click on gems here, this first part here is from Gemini Labs, and this is basically where you create apps. You can create a new gem here inside of the Google Labs. I think it's called Opal is their app builder. In this case, I'm going down a little bit lower. These are my gems that I've created. You can see I got a few here. If I create a new gem, and I'm going to give it a name here, we'll call it interview coach, veteran interview coach, no description needed. And then I'll give it the task that I want it to do in the instructions here. Again, I just asked Gemini to write me this prompt. And you can see here, it's basically you're a job interview coach for veterans entering the cloud computing. Ask me behavioral type of questions, not technical, for cloud support engineer. Answer, basically grade my answer based on the STAR method, which is what most interviewers will use when they ask you interview questions that are behavioral in nature. STAR, if you haven't heard of it, stands for situational, task-specific, action-oriented, and the results. So basically, evaluating the context would be situational. The specific task that you're citing inside it would be T. Action is if the candidate can clearly detail the exact steps, and the results determining whether the outcome was clearly explained. And so from here, now that I have this, I hit save, and I can start a new chat now that I've created this gem, and it's saved in my gems. So I could, for example, here give a URL to a job description on LinkedIn and say, this is the job I'm applying for. Interview me for this job based on the job description and the questions you think they're going to ask me. And you'll have an interactive coach, and it will score you and guide you and tell you things on how to improve. So this is a great way to sort of warm up for an interview. If you have an interview coming up, come in here, put in the company, put in the job description, add your resume, have it go through all three and interview you as if it's someone at that company hiring for that role. Right. Well, that wraps up the demos for today. Any questions, any thoughts, any comments?
I think the gems might be the upgraded version, unless I'm just having trouble finding it. But that was a cool feature.
I am on Pro, but I have, yeah, let's see here. I think I have another Chrome account here open. Let's see. So you have to go to gemini.google.com. Are you there?
Yep.
Yes, I think Gem is in the paid account, not a free account. We'll have to upgrade the other subscription to include it.
Yeah. It's nice that it works hand in hand with NotebookLM, though. It's
It
easier
does,
to.
yes. These are the apps, for example. So describe a mini app you want built. It comes with some here. Take a photo of leftovers in the fridge and generate different recipes with photos of the final dish. Analyze a meeting transcript. key takeaways and action items. So it's got all these little apps built in, some standard ones. You can just ask it what are the top 10 Gemini apps that people in this particular profession use, or this particular expertise, and play around with this. This is probably one of the coolest things that it has, and a little bit different than like Claude Code or Codex, because it's much user friendlier. Over there, you have to use like a CLI command line and all this stuff. Here, it's much more user friendly to work with these apps. All right, well, that wraps it up for today. I want to thank everyone for coming out. Hopefully, this was valuable to you. I will also say, if you're not already, send me a LinkedIn friend request, connection request. Let me see here.
Even had a question here.
Okay, great.
Um, what kind of recurring task or agents have you set up in the past with gems, if you have?
I just started playing with gems, so like that interview one is one that I've set up. The fridge one, I want to try that one. That looks pretty cool. I would play around with it first on personal tasks.
Mhm.
Hey, this is my current gym workout. Analyze it and tell me if this is the best approach for cardio and recovery and weightlifting, and build me an app that I can pull up on my phone while I'm at the gym to help me tick off each of the exercises I should be doing. Try it in your like daily life, your to-do list, or um, you could build a gem that basically searches for local events in your zip code, technical events or sales events or family events, like Fourth of July picnics and farmers markets and things like that. And then you can just interact with it without having to sort of prompt all the time in AI for those types of things.
He also mentioned if you are a student and have an EDU email, you can get a free year of the pro version for free. So have to sign up for that.
Fantastic. Thanks, Stephen. Appreciate the thought there. All right. So yes, Stephen, others, if you want to shoot me a LinkedIn request, would love to connect with you guys. I'll drop that into the chat. I also have a WhatsApp group for founders. So if you're building something or you're an operator in a company, it's open to both types of those folks. I'll drop the URL here into the chat. Feel free to send a request and we'll let you into the room. And that is all for today. We thank you for coming out. Hopefully you have a great weekend and have a great day, everyone. Thank you.